Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have some late breaking news from today out of Georgia. So I don't have all the specifics and all the details put together as I normally do, and this is going to be a really quick update, but there was a 26-page opinion issued by Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney. He essentially he overturned the state's abortion law. So you guys might know that Georgia, after Donald Trump's abortion ban went into effect, after his Supreme Court justices overturned Roe versus Wade and everything went back to the states to make their own decisions, Georgia had enacted a 6-week abortion ban. Now, it did allow for exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother, what have you. The problem was, as I shared recently, doctors were not following those guidelines because they were concerned about losing their jobs, maybe being prosecuted. So they were allowing women to get to very dangerous places health-wise. In fact, as I shared with you just, I think it was last week, one woman, well, we know of two, but one woman, we had the full story on her. Her death was determined to be completely preventable, but she died, sadly. A young mother with a little boy died because the doctors refused to do anything to help her until it was too late. So they let basically sepsis take over her body, all of her organs shut down, and she died a horrible, painful death that was completely preventable, but for Donald Trump's abortion ban. So we are seeing this throughout the country. Even though some states have these limited exceptions, what we're seeing is that doctors are afraid to pull the trigger, so to speak. So this is really good news. So this judge overturned it. And here's in part what he wrote in this opinion. He said, quote, "For these women, the liberty of privacy means that they alone should choose whether they serve as human incubators for the 5 months leading up to viability. It is not for a legislator or a judge or a commander from The Handmaid's Tale to tell these women what to do with their bodies during this period when the fetus cannot survive outside the womb, any more so than society could or should force them to serve as a human tissue bank or to give up a kidney for the benefit of another." Then in a footnote, in his opinion, he wrote, quote, "There is an uncomfortable and usually unspoken subtext of involuntary servitude swirling about this debate, symbolically illustrated by the composition of the legal teams in this case. It is generally men who promote and defend laws like the Life Act, the effect of which is to require only women, and given the socioeconomic and demographic evidence presented at trial, primarily poor women, which means in Georgia, primarily Black and brown women, to engage in compulsory labor, i.e., the carrying of a pregnancy to term at the government's behest." So, brutal takedown. I have no doubt this is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court, unfortunately, so we'll see what happens, and I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, he is 100% right. There are no laws governing a man's body. There are no laws telling a man what he can and can't do with his body. Men aren't being raped. If they are, I apologize. I know there are some, but they're not being raped and impregnated. And I guarantee you, if men could get pregnant, there wouldn't be a question. The abortion laws would be a free-for-all. They would let men get abortions until literally the last day of the 9th month. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Because this is about control. This is about insecure men who know that they're pieces of shit, who know that they don't treat women right, And so the only way that they can control them and keep them in unhappy marriages and relationships is by giving them more and more and more children to take care of. And that way they can't go out and work, they can't be independent, and they can't tell the man to go to hell and get a divorce. That's what it really comes down to. And don't let them fool you, because the proof is in Republicans' values and their policies. Because once the child is here on this earth, they don't give a damn about it. They could not care less. They don't want to help. They don't want to help the women. They don't want to help the children. So it's bullshit when they say, oh, it's the baby, it's the baby. No, it's BS. The women who are all for this, I just think a lot of them have been brainwashed. And I want you to ask women, if you encounter them, and men too, ask them this question, because I found this very interesting. I saw this in a meme. You know, a lot of these pro-lifers, they're also against IVF. We've seen this come up. We've seen this debate happening more recently, where even Republicans want to get rid of IVF, right? And the argument is, well, in their mind, or at least what they say, oh, life begins at conception. So, you know, those zygotes and you know, those cells are a human being. Ask them this question. Ask them what would happen if they have children, or if they know a child in their family. What would happen if they took that child and froze them? Stuck them in a freezer, deep freeze, right? Child would die, right? The cells that they use for IVF, they don't die. They freeze them, sometimes for decades before a woman uses them or somebody else uses them, right? That's kind of the proof right there that it's not a living being. It is not a child. You can't freeze a child. You can freeze embryos. You can freeze these cells. So they're just unbelievably dense. Oh, and like they said in Legally Blonde, I mean, then wouldn't every man who is pleasuring himself then be killing his children as he flushes them down the toilet, or, you know, wipes them on a rag and throws them in the laundry? I mean, just saying. Anyway, I will let you know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, subscribe if you have not. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.